Oh, we are live. Hello, guys.
Hello. Welcome to Bulls, Bear and Banter.
The bull is on leave.
अभी आपके पास एक बेर है, दो बैंटर है.
दो banter. But we have freedom, I would say.
Why?
Freedom from minimum account balance.
Last night was fun. Last night was fun when I was trying to find out कि ऐसा तो क्या हो गया suddenly that in 15 days you had to suddenly change your entire
Not even 15, Rishi. Not even
1
No,
day.
वो तो August 1st के पहले announce कर दिया था ना. End of July.
अच्छा कर दिया था.
पर लोगों ने बहुत बाद में देखा क्या?
लोगों ने बहुत late notice किया कि they had hiked it up. Just for the reference, this is
ICICI Bank,
which had originally hiked its minimum account balance for urban and metro customers from 10,000 rupees to 50,000 rupees, and then re-revised it to 15,000 rupees now, which is what came yesterday, because it was evident that the pushback.
क्या सोच रहे थे?
वो तो बहुत मुश्किल है to describe. So if you were to
Were they smoking something?
I don't know.
I don't want
Sir is in a mood today. Sir is in a Independence Day mood today.
आज नहीं कल है. आज पाकिस्तान.
नहीं वहाँ पर ज़्यादा. But 50,000. I was looking at it, and 50,000 in urban market means that you need to have at least a salary of 6 lakhs.
Yeah, so that's the interesting part. The salary accounts are actually exempt from because salary accounts are zero balance accounts.
But
so you don't need to
maintain.
If you have a salary account with ICICI Bank, you never need to maintain it. What was effective, however, was if you had just had a bank account.
But where will the money in that bank account come from? My question was that.
People would have had
it's not
to
a salary account I'm talking, but I'm talking about if you need to put 50,000 there, and I have to maintain 50,000 on an average basis, then I need to have an inflow of at least 6
Meaning for at least 20 out of the 30 days, you will have to have close to 50,000 rupees in your bank account. Yeah. So then that's the game, right? I mean, so the argument that Equirus Group gave in its research report when it originally came out was that ICICI Bank lags its peers on the third-party sales. They don't do as much third-party sales as, say, an Axis or an HDFC Bank.
Which is right, because at some point in time it was one of the leaders there, right?
Yeah.
And
so
after that, mis-selling and all those things which came in, it drastically cut down all those things.
So that became a big problem for a lender like ICICI, and then finally they decided to बढ़ा देते हैं because it's easier to cross-sell more financial products to somebody who's capable of maintaining a 50,000 rupee balance than somebody who's maintaining 10,000 rupees.
50,000 में आप कैसे क्रॉस सेल करोगे? आपको 50,000 रुपये रखना, क्रॉस सेल भी करोगे? मतलब
50,000 वही रख सकता है जो इंश्योरेंस और म्यूचुअल फंड खरीदेगा, वेल्थ प्रोडक्ट खरीदेगा जो.
पर वो इंक्लूडेड नहीं होता ना आपके मिनिमम अकाउंट बैलेंस में.
That is not relevant. The point being that eligibility of the customer has to be there. No? If you want to sell wealth products to a customer, the customer needs to have a wealth to manage.
True.
You can't manage somebody who's running dry by the 25th of the month. ना उसको नहीं बेच सकते आप कितना भी करोगे.
But tell me one thing, does it make sense now for ICICI Bank to they're talking of 15,000 for urban limit there, right? But they can still, morally say that, okay, we will only have this if you have a minimum salary of this or inflow of that. And so, because what I heard from the street was that, they've been very rigid in opening accounts.
Yes, they are. So this is something that I've also heard. Of course, the bank will never say it openly, saying that hum log nahi kar rahe hain, but they had become very rigid in opening fresh accounts. If you want to, just open a bank account.
Yeah.
If you walk into a branch and say, मुझे एक bank account खोलना है.
Family accounts खोलने वगैरह
नहीं allow कर रहे थे.
पर बहुत लंबा खींचते थे.
Yeah, so they used to delay a lot. The only accounts that used to open easily, surprisingly, was salary accounts because they had tie-ups with companies.
वो तो corporate accounts हो गए ना.
So बहुत easy हो जाता था वो कि company के through हो रहा था, so that didn't matter. But it's become evident that banks have become more choosy when it comes to selecting customers. Part of the reason is there's been a marked change in the way CASA deposits are maintained by customers, and this is multiple bankers have said this, that there is now a fundamental change in the CASA deposits. What we used to think CASA was free flowing, it was very cheap source of funds for us.
No longer.
All of that is out of the window.
Because the new guys or new breed of investors or people who are getting into new into the job market, they are very return conscious.
Yeah.
So even if it means that I need to get a return, I'll put it on a 15-day
Correct.
FD, or maybe put it in a fixed income, or maybe put it in an SIP.
Correct.
And I can withdraw it into up to 50,000.
So,
तो एक दिन में आ जाता है,
so
कुछ तो कर सकते हैं ना?
this week I also spoke with KVS Manian from Federal, and I asked him this question. Are customers not looking at CASA because there's other avenues? So his point was this: the only product that gets affected because of higher yielding products is fixed deposits, because that is the only savings aspect of it. People maintain current account and savings account because that is an ease of convenience of spend, right?
Yeah.
Access to cash, access to spending, आपका debit card, credit card कहाँ है? लोग CASA accounts इसलिए खोलते हैं so that you get access to the banking system and you're able to use your money for whatever needs there might be. They don't want to be bothered by the whole अभी इतना तो आपको रखना पड़ेगा, इतना नहीं रखोगे तो आपके और पेनल्टी लगेगा, तो मैं क्यों करने का? Then I'll go to an SBI, I'll go to Union Bank, who offers all of these services.
Because SBI maybe certain branches only allow for a certain amount of
but then that depends on your annual income. Na? They want to obviously have the lion's share of your wallet.
Yeah.
So they will see if you're somebody who earns 20-30 lakhs per annum, then they want a big chunk of that in their bank account. They push.
But how fair is this? Just purely from a logic perspective, to say, okay, maybe not fair, but from a logic perspective, or all of us are seeing on ground that customers are becoming more conscious with the way they're managing their money.
Yes.
They want a better rate of interest even on CASA.
Correct.
In such an environment, comes a bank, which is one of the largest private banks in the country, second largest in the country, coming out and saying that, hey, 50,000 is the minimum balance we want from the metro customer.
Yeah.
Is that sensible policy?
It's sensible policy in the sense that if your goal is no longer adding more deposits, because ICICI is one of the largest, but also one of the only one amongst the three who has a higher deposit base than an advance base. Remember that they have a positive credit deposit ratio, and they have a very strong hold on the deposits that are already there. So this is about incremental customers, right? So incremental customers, you can think about, okay, I can afford to play around a little bit, and then see क्या होता है. एक साथ चलाएंगे, देखते हैं क्या होता है. Of course, all of that has unraveled, and they've changed their policy again in 15-20 days. But the point being that they are the only lenders who can afford to play the incremental game. Other lenders can't touch it. Your HDFC Bank and Axis Bank can't touch it because they are so close on the credit deposit ratio. Any play on the deposit side will negatively hurt their future growth. So they can't.
And from a strategy perspective as well, from a business strategy perspective, you want to. India is a vast market,
Correct.
Fast growing. Very quickly, the customer. I was an ICICI. I still am an ICICI Bank customer, and I opened my account when I was making sub 2 lakh rupees a year. Right now, from there, I've come a long way. And I've continued with, and same with Sajeet sir, exact same with Sajeet sir. So you have created a filter for customers like us, and you're also creating a further filter. For example, because of a policy like this, I know of a couple of people, senior people in our newsroom, who came out on the first day of Monday morning and told me that, boss, I am closing my account in ICICI.
Yeah.
Right. So you are actually pushing back customers, and this is the obvious fact, right? So in an era where you want your funnel to be as large as possible to attract customers, because India is a growing economy, you've gone out and said that I want to create a filter there.
If your point is that this was a misstep, I fully agree with you, Hersh. I think this was a clear misstep by the bank. And they've come out and publicly said, so that notification that they put on the website, it says that we listen to customer feedback and we decided to re-revise our rates.
If that is the case, then you have increased charges for all the services.
Yes, you have
that as well, because not only them, SDFC has also increased it.
Yeah.
I mean, all the private banks have increased the charges.
Tell me this: is the increased charges? I read it and it wasn't very evident because maybe I didn't read the first notification which came out in July.
How
But
many
was
of
the
you-
increased charges only for incremental customers post 1st August or for everyone?
all.
So including you and me.
Yeah, including
Then won't you be closing your account? I will be
That is
closing
a-
my account.
Depends. So
Yeah,
I.
when was the last time you went through
When
your
was
bank
the last
account?
time you actually bothered to look at how much you're getting charged?
When was the last time?
Nobody sees it. See,
So I am going to start seeing this
No,
now.
as
Now
long
this has suddenly piqued my interest.
as long as these charges are on the margin, like if on 100 rupee, not 100 rupees, 100 rupees is probably a bad example. On a 10,000 rupee transaction, if you're charged 3-4 rupees, you are not going to notice it because वो तुम्हारे दिमाग में आता भी नहीं है कि the other number has also changed. The last digit on that figure has also changed. We don't look at it. We only look at the first 3 figures and see उसमें कितना change हुआ है, right? That's the problem because our brains are wired to automatically round off numbers. And when you start cutting on the margin, then it becomes very easy for the bank to take it. Like I know I've been with HDFC Bank since the first day of being a professional, which was 2010. उस दिन से लेके आज तक I have maintained that same HDFC Bank account and I have no idea how much money I'm being charged a month. I've never spent any time looking at my bank account and seeing where have I been levied a charge. The only place I look at is credit cards because there the charges are much higher. So there the charges hit you, so you look at it. Because it's a savings account, you don't really quite bother.
But ideally, there's a lot of charge which is coming in from on a savings basis, but we don't look at it because because we may be getting interest as well.
Yeah.
So it gets net off
Net
against
off.
the interest, and that's why we don't look much into it.
But interest तो sir 3% interest आता है,
2.5.
right?
हाँ, तो
3% interest at best आता है, at best I'm to saying.
I think
And-
who was
and
someone
quarterly
said
आता है.
that so I'm getting charged some 400 or 450 rupees per month because minimum balance is not coming or something. That's the kind of charges which are going into
for ICICI Bank it was 6% of the shortfall or 500 rupees, whichever was lower.
Yeah.
So that is where अगर आपका
Need to be
6%
very, very careful, yeah. This is slightly concerning for me.
Yeah, you'll have to relook at your.
अगर एक साल तक आपने अपना स्टेटमेंट नहीं देखा तो और आपके पास 5,000 थे तो खत्म हो गए पूरे.
अभी तक तो गए होंगे
पूरे खाली हो गया वो.
So again, the problem is that there is no escape. It's not like you can open another bank account and that bank will, unless you're going to a PSU, where who knows what charges will come later, 2 years later. ऐसा नहीं है कि PSU banks don't want to charge you money, right? It's just that they have a fiscal responsibility or a fiduciary responsibility to maintain your money and not charge you too much, right? But the minute you take those restrictions off, they will start charging. They are going to follow the suit. They've done this on corporate. They've done this on retail loans.
But then
They will
what
do it on
stops?
retail liability.
But then what stops the new age banks from doing better? You've got an AU small finance bank,
क्योंकि
you have,
उनके पास
which is
reach
now
नहीं है.
AU bank.
Reach नहीं है.
That is true.
Yeah.
So AU bank, you have something like an IDFC first bank.
My point is that AU Small Finance Bank, which will become a universal bank, will have a biggest challenge because existing banks are struggling to maintain their CASA.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
And for them to do a CASA, they will have to put a higher interest rate. Now,
But they're already doing that.
they're already doing it because they're small finance bank and
Correct.
पैसे नहीं आ रहा है. So I was looking at some of them couple of months back, and they were giving us on a daily balance of 6.5% or something,
Correct.
about our 1 lakh or 2 lakhs.
Correct.
If you have a deposit, if you have it in the savings bank, that is the kind of rate they were
You
giving.
have annualized 6
I'm
months.
well aware.
Yes. Yeah,
Not
and-
daily.
But based on daily balances.
Based on
That's
daily
correct.
balances. Based on
correct.
daily balances.
Correct.
That's what. So,
And monthly payment.
monthly payment.
Monthly payout. So it's not
So
like
interest coming on a
You
monthly
may
basis.
the biggest pull for the customers is this only.
and IDFC was the first to start
monthly
this.
interest.
Monthly.
So I actually migrated to IDFC from that perspective. Viewers, please, I mean, while we're quoting these things,
Yeah,
that-
it's not advice to you to
your mic,
change your mind.
Wish. Yeah. So it's not advice, right? I mean, it's just examples
giving
that we are
us
leveraging
our way of
based on our
Our
experiences.
experiences, that's
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that the opportunity to shift and maybe try another service, which may not be as onerous, is while the path is easy, it's very easy now to move money, right, from one bank to another bank. मैं आज के आज move कर सकता हूँ अपना सारा का सारा balance to another bank, and I can continue my primary banking services there. And if I want to close this account, I can close this account if I want to. They made that easy. But then you will have to also deal with हजार other problems. Like, for example, what Citibank customers face with Axis Bank. The same problems you're going to face when you shift your primary banking from ICICI Bank to a smaller bank, right? Like, you're going to not have the kind of deals that you're used to.
And changing a bank account is now become very cumbersome. But for the reason that your every document is now linked to Aadhaar, and Aadhaar is linked to a phone number and a bank account, and so you have to be very careful what you do, and suddenly you'll find
you can link multiple accounts to your Aadhaar. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है.
नहीं, आधार में मल्टीपल अकाउंट्स कर सकते हैं, बट जैसे आपका IT हो गया या बाकी सब हो गया, वो सिंगल अकाउंट.
हाँ, ठीक है, okay. From your tax payments to
all other things,
even groceries, yeah, आप जो भी you have to change it on every parameter. But again, having said that, I'm sorry, the problem there, to me at least personally, it's a matter of, are you willing to spend a day to do this? It will take one day. That is all it will take.
That is a question.
Are you willing to spend that one day to shift everything?
So, Vishy, you have a question from Viggy saying that is a new management initiative working at Federal Bank?
So, I'll tell you, there are a few things working, but there are a few things that are still pretty unclear. And he's had, I think, September, 3 quarters he's had, right? December quarter, March quarter, now June quarter he's had, right? Now, in the 3 quarters, while they have seen their margins sort of, dither a little bit. Having said that, only in February the new management has announced their fresh strategy, which is to say that I will
plus the regulations have changed, the environment also has changed.
Yes, the environment has changed, the business environment has changed, so therefore you are seeing that impact on the margins. Having said that, what I take confidence from is the fact that he's saying that I'm not going to aggressively start pushing changes into the bank. The goal is not to suddenly start doing more personal loans, more credit cards, because that's a very easy way of growing your balance sheet, right? You'll take on more risk, but you'll grow very fast. They are not doing that. What Manian in his interview had said was that I'm only moving it on the margins because हम लोग कुछ चीजें करें. Like, for example, home loans we are already doing. So why don't we do a little bit more LAP? We are already doing commercial vehicles. So why don't we do a little bit more used commercial vehicles? Credit card में push कर रहे हैं up, but we are doing it within the 8%, 10% upper limit of the 10% of the total book should be unsecured. That is the goal that they're going with. 10% may you will get some returns, but you will also not build too much risk on a portfolio to have a hit, right? To those effects, to those things, yes, they are doing a few things which I would like to see how they pan out are the changes on the branch front that he's trying to do. He's trying to move the branches to a pure sales model versus some of the other things that they were doing there. Like, for example, processing paperwork. He's saying branches don't need to sit and process paperwork. Like, that become a central thing. If you're going to have a bank in 2025, for Federal Bank, over the last many decades, if they're used to working a certain way, you're suddenly changing that way. And you're telling the branch कि आप बेचने पे focus करो, process में मत focus करो. I don't know how
so
the
centralization of backend is something. Backend processes is something I think many of the large banks are already doing, right?
Yeah.
And HDFC Bank or an ICICI Bank.
Not all of them have been successful. HDFC and ICICI have been successful, but the mid-level banks have not been that
because
successful.
They have done on the basis of technology, and they've been able to seamlessly do that.
Yes.
Actually.
And with a lot of old generation private banks like Federal Bank, the only hang-up is that you've got very strong employee unions, and in case there is some opposition from that throws a spanner in the works, it creates unnecessary friction for any management trying to do something new. Now, I hope it doesn't happen that
even
way.
SBI has centralized one, right? I think all the top PSU banks have also gone for centralization.
SBI has had to spend years trying to centralize everything. It's not like it was a cakewalk. They did it. They managed to do it, but it wasn't a cakewalk.
And once they did it, I think they are getting the benefit of it now, actually.
Yeah. So these are good things, objectively good things for a bank. Implementing is the problem, because that is where the stumbling blocks come.
There is also one more for you. Manappuram versus Muthoot Finance. Which one is better?
Arey, ye to aap Hersh ko pucho. He is the only one who's looked at the numbers that.
No. So honestly, Muthoot on the back of numbers, extremely strong numbers. Vishy, I don't remember a time when someone has guided for 3-4% ROA and done 7% ROA.
Yeah.
And
No chance.
consistently done 5 to 6%. So clearly Muthoot is doing something different here. We've done a KYC on it as well. That will air live at 4:30. We've just closed that.
Yeah, abhi hua thodi der pehle. It was on.
Maybe you can scroll back and view it, or maybe view it at 4:30, or and it'll come on YouTube as well. So you can maybe spend post market or weekend if you have time looking at that. Manappuram in comparison has its own set of issues because they're doing microfinance and a lot more of that. Let me not say Muthoot is not doing that, but Manappuram is doing much more of that. So their exposure is much larger there. And the book isn't therefore as clean as something like a Muthoot. Muthoot's processes are better. It's more closely owned. Manappuram is also on the way from VP Nandkumar transitioning it to a Bain Capital. So all of those confluence of factors are impacting both of these companies. Very different, therefore, while they cater to the same cohort, very different in terms of their fact patterns. And therefore, it's apples and oranges. It depends on what you want to pick. Something which is a stable organization, working like clockwork, doing their job, but slightly expensive, or something which is in a transition phase, something which is working on a turnaround basis, and having a change in management as well. Is that something that you're looking out for at a cheaper valuation? So it's essentially that. But broadly, that's probably some of the ways to look at this.
So from a management point of view, they both have a good governance structure in that sense.
Manappuram is weaker given that there's only one main, Mr. Nandkumar as the main person, and then thereafter now you'll have Bain Capital coming in and putting in some of their guys. So we'll have to wait.
They'll bring in their own management. They've already appointed a CEO.
So we'll have to wait and watch as to how that plays out.
So is it fair to say that maybe in the next 6 to 12 months, you'll have a much better bench of bandwidth of management coming in Manappuram?
Yeah, but management coming in is only step one. The other steps being that you have to still fix the problems.
Yeah, so
and will there be a kitchen sinking? You don't know whether there will be or not. People always say that when new management comes in, you'll have one quarter which will be like a washout quarter. Whether that will happen or not, really, I'm not alluding to the fact that it will happen, but I'm saying you don't know whether it will happen or not.
There's one question for you, Hersh. Tell us about Geo 24 rupees ITR filing. I think they come out with a product. It seems, sir, CA will lose their jobs like people.
Like IT people, possible. Frankly, I have not seen this ITR filing of Geo. But let me read up about it. Maybe I'll speak about it.
ITR filing.
मेरा dad करते हैं, so my dad is my CA, so he just after retirement he's like, अरे भेज जो भी है, I'll sit and do it. I said, okay.
There's
my dad is also my CA, but he doesn't file my return.
He's a lot of CA.
If I tell him to file my returns, he'll kick me out of the house.
तुमको CA क्यों बनाया है? Ayushman Lalani, can JSW Cement surpass Adani Cements? From a size point of view, it's I think 1/5 the size.
1/5 the size.
1/5 the size of Adani
So
Cements.
way off.
But the listing has been very muted. I think it's almost at par with the IPO price. Pricing is almost at par with some of the leaders in the industry.
Did they price it to premium, the IPO?
It's a loss-making company in FY25. They expect it to go profitable in FY26. Only on the basis of that, because prices are, have a comeback in a big way. So East, West, and South, which are the main markets for JSW Cement, and they were the biggest laggards with respect to pricing.
Right.
So that pricing has come back in that market, and I think 8 to 10% price increase have come and holding off, and that is something which we would see in the Q1 numbers for many of the southern companies, including JSW, because they're there, and hopefully they will be profitable. My view, I think they had roughly 300-400 crores ka EBITDA tha, 1,000 crore ka EBITDA they're looking at FY26. That's the kind of number they're doing it. But they have a very aggressive plan going forward. 20 million tons to 40 million tons in next 3 to 4 years, and that's huge because they want to get into the northern markets where the competition is also going to come in. So it's going to be very tough ask for JSW Cement in that sense. कि भाई will it surpass? I don't think so in the short term, but it will be a long run battle because there's a new player which is coming in with I don't think I shouldn't say deep pockets, because they are following a very prudent way of expansion which is there, right? Means paisa the fank nahi rahe, in that sense. So but I think a long term play they are good, and because their mix is, they're the one of the only companies which use slag from steel plants as part of their cement. So they can mix slag with limestone up to 60-70%, and it brings in much more strength for them. So they're using that
Technology.
not technology, and the group synergies, because slag and fly ash is coming from there, right?
From their steel operations.
Yeah. So that's also something which is there. Okay. There is, what's your take on upcoming earnings in consumption? Upcoming earnings in consumption discretionary. I don't think so, because IT people fear job uncertainty. I work in IT in one of the Mang companies.
Mang kya hai?
Meta, Amazon, Alphabet, Netflix.
What's it called?
Google.
Fang.
ये
अच्छा फेसबुक से मेटा हो गया इसके लिए. हाँ, बराबर.
हाँ. And I don't feel confident of spending. Yeah, this is something which is everyone is talking about.
Yeah, so I think there is a definitive spending slowdown that is happening, and it's not going away. Slowdown आज का नहीं, slowdown चल रहा है, थोड़े टाइम से चल रहा है. Discretionary पे लोग नहीं खर्च कर रहे हैं. It's very evident from FMCG numbers. It's very evident from sales that your e-commerce platforms are doing. It's very evident that people are not willing to spend that much money. They are very selective in what they want to buy right now in the current environment. When will that flip? I don't know, because IT is definitely a worry. But apart from IT, you also have the BFSI segment, which, by the way, has not been very sharply increasing its employee base, right? If you were to look at FMCG companies, they're not sharply increasing their employee base.
AI will have a major impact on BFSI.
And if the goal
from an earnings point of view, it's good for them, because but from a base point of view, it's going to be.
It's about people having money in their hand. No? अगर ऊपर से अभी uncertainty में export businesses are going to get hit.
That is something which is going to happen. I think if you look at the RBI policy this time, they have something called consumer spending index or something, right?
Yes.
Which is for current, and then there's a future spending expectations.
Yeah.
There are two things. I think that they have 96.5 for consumer spending index.
So one interesting thing that I've noticed in the inflation numbers is there's something of core inflation. We all know that, which is if you remove fuel and food inflation from the CPI, what is left is core. There's also something else, core inflation, which is it removes gold also from the equation. If you remove that, core inflation is actually down. It means pricing power has dipped. It's not just that headline inflation खाली कम हो रहा है, core बढ़ रहा है, ऐसा नहीं है.
Asset prices की वजह से बढ़ रहा है basically.
Things are going. People are not able to price their commodities better or their products better. And that is actually happening in the economy. And if you're going to see that consistent drop in pricing power, all it proves is that demand nahi hai, log nahi kharid rahe hain, and that's why your manufacturers are not able to price it higher or price it better right now.
So I've done three things with regard to AI, and I've done it this week.
क्या बताओ?
One, I spoke to नहीं जो कर रहा हूँ वो तो कर ही रहा हूँ ऑफिस में बैठे but I listened to Vinod Khosla, who is of course an institution in himself, and he spoke about how AI is going to disrupt every single sector. He said there's going to be no sector which is going to be spared. So prepare for it to come. He gave it a timeline of 3 to 5 years. In the past, I have heard Elon Musk also give a very similar timeline. Now, no matter how, what your personal opinions of the guy are, he certainly has visibility of trends, and you have to respect that. That no matter how, if you feel that he is insane, but regardless, his pulse of trends is relevant, and therefore this matches with what Vinod Khosla said. Vinod Sethi said that rather than going to a library and reading 50 books on, say, for example, an East India company, what he has done is he sat on Perplexity AI, asked Perplexity AI back-to-back questions for 2 hours straight. And he said his knowledge of the East India company was far, far higher in comparison to him sitting for 20 days reading 20 different books on East India company. That is his opinion. And he said that's where the future of learning will be. So If you really want to pivot, this is the only way to do it. According to me, there's just no
Yeah.
other way. That's what people are saying, and I'm just echoing what they are saying.
Correct.
Third one, I spoke to Sanjeev Bikhchandani today. Now that's a conversation which I had. So, and I asked him that how are individuals going to pivot, because India is such a large human capital. We keep talking, right, Rishi and Sajeet sir, that India's demography is its superpower. But यार AI के world में तुम्हारा demography superpower है ही नहीं. So you are in fact in a headwind kind of a space where demography is concerned, where India is concerned. To which he didn't categorically agree to it, but he said each of us, each individual, it's gonna be on each individual's hands what they do with AI, and they will have to keep continuously upgrading themselves where AI is concerned to ensure that they stay relevant.
Correct.
And that, of course, is the responsibility of each individual, but also the government to a certain extent to ensure that skills keep growing. But that's the long and short of it. I mean, basis whatever I've been reading, and
no, that's what will be the evolution for people, right, in learning. But if you want to get that experience of how people went about doing it, then you need to go and read the entire book. But if you want to take a synopsis and say, अच्छा इसमें से 10 point क्या थे और मेरे relevance के लिए क्या है, so what you said is right. You ask an AI chatbot and they'll give you the data.
Mr. Sethi went one step forward, mind you. So Mr. Sethi, for viewer perspective, was a 30-year-old when he became the managing director, CEO of Morgan Stanley India. So he's clearly achieved too much in his life.
Correct.
But sir, he was saying the exact opposite. He said there's no need to read a book. He said you can ask AI as many questions that AI is able to answer them and envisage what questions you will ask and answer those as well for you. So he's saying, what's the point of you reading one book which is limited to one view? You have an AI which is giving you multiple views, right? And you're asking it questions. So that's his view.
Authors are going to have a tough time, basically.
Every industry.
I have my own views. I may not want to air it here, but I think we are currently yes, there is an impact on jobs, and that definitely is a problem that needs to be addressed. But having said that, I think we are overestimating AI intelligence way more than, I think, about 20% more than where it is right now. Yes, it's able to go through a vast majority of the internet, right? But there's a lot of nonsense on the internet, and it does capture that nonsense, and you sometimes
It's
you
not
can see
able to
the
filter
answers because human brains, actually a lot of them, I won't say all, but human brains are able to distinguish between ये सही लग रहा है, ये गड़बड़ है.
For sure, Rishi, but
AI is not able to do
but
it
eventually
right
that will happen.
I mean, let's see. ChatGPT-5 is supposed to be doing that. Let's see what happens. Yeah.
Okay, so Mrinal has a question. Hi, NDTV. After Q1 results of banks and NBFCs, can we say that a new NPA deterioration cycle is starting in vehicles, personal finance, MSME loans?
No.
And MFI stress will continue?
No. All of these things are, I think, a bit of an overestimation. Yes, there has been a deterioration in stressed assets. It's true. But the assets in which it has happened are short-lived, in the sense the average age of that asset is very small, which means that banks will come out of it very quickly. B, it's a high business interest area, which means that once NPA ratio is what? Your bad loans divided by your total loans, right? And multiplied by 100. That's the percentage for gross NPA, right? If you want to reduce the percentage, you can either reduce the numerator or rapidly increase the denominator, which is the total loans. So if you do that, percentage apne aap kam ho jayega. So this is just a accounting exercise. It's not indicative of anything as of now. MFI is a different problem. That is a problem that has been continuing for well over a year. How long it will last is anybody's guess. I mean, a lot of estimation says that abhi khatam ho jayega in Q2. We'll see what happens.
Acha, Know Your Market More is asking about Vikram Solar IPO. It's opening on 19th, closes on 21st. I think 315 to 332 is the price band for this IPO. It's setting, I think it's raising 2,000 odd crores, 1,500 odd crores for primary, and primarily to set up 2 units in Tamil Nadu. 6 gigawatt of modules and 3 gigawatt of solar. Doesn't have much of an exposure to United States, which is a big concern for many of the module makers, because they had high exposure to United States, like Premier and Wari have that kind of exposure, but they don't have that. But the only thing is that the capacity is going to come in only by end of FY26, and the margin is around 14.5%, which is much lower. So the margin expansion to 22-23% will only happen in FY28. So it's a long drawn process. But yes, they are into. They started off as EPC players and then migrated to becoming a manufacturer or assembler of modules, because of what they were getting it from China and building it here. That is a process which will take. So yes, they have good expansion plans. And if you are bullish on the domestic solar and renewable space, it's a good company to look at, actually.
Interesting.
There is one more. Hersh, sir, is it time to take a contra call on TCS? My thesis is that they will become efficient anyhow by reducing headcounts and using AI to their advantage.
I will give my opinion, but sir, I think you're closer to IT, so therefore.
No. So the point is that you cannot write off any of the Indian IT companies. Yes, there are challenges which are coming to them, and in the short term, maybe a quarter or 2 quarter, 3 quarter max, any of the challenges have been overcome in whatever manner it is. Now the reset will take time. TCS did some kind of reset with respect to 2% of workforce, letting go them. But at the same time, subsequently they increased the salaries for 80% of their employees. In fact, today Cognizant has announced that they're increasing salaries for 80% of their employees, and they have a total employee base of 3.5 lakh, actually, if I'm not wrong. So that's something which is there. So the concern, salary hikes nahi ho raha hai, but it's happening in a cycle which is convenient to the companies, which is good from a shareholder perspective, that they're not taking too much of cost on that. Will AI have a disruption? Surely they will have a disruption. Coding has, I think 80% of the coding now is AI dependent now, actually. Chat GPTs and others are helping. I'm told that Chat GPT 5 and people who are expert in our newsroom, or they constantly learn, they are viewing about this. They're saying that the new Chat GPT 5 is more of help to the coders than anything else.
It is.
So that is something which is going to replace. So the time to code a thing which earlier used to take maybe a week, now is going to be only a day or so, because that's the kind of efficiency which is going to come in. Now, how is it going to convert it into margins is something how from company to company it varies, basically. And companies still can say, I will take a week and I'll charge, but the point is that companies are now using that differential days or time in reducing the cost of the projects, and that they want. So it's a win-win for the companies, because their cost is coming down, because the development cost is coming down. For the IT developers, they don't have to increase the manpower. They just have to increase the skill level of the manpower, which is there. So that's something is a challenge, and it will take 2 quarters to do it. I think second half of IT is second half of the year is when many of them are talking about that there will be a rebound in IT which comes in. So hopefully, yes. Out of time, and there's a request again coming for you. KYC and Bharti Airtel.
Oh my God! If I tell Samit Sarkar this, then Samit Sarkar will tell me किसको जानना है कि Bharti Airtel क्या करता है. But I will still try and
he's saying, how big is the cloud opportunity? Can it take any business away from AWS and Azure?
I will ask Samit this.
Actually, if you want to read about this, I think Bharti in its con call has spoken about cloud opportunity there. So why don't you go and check that?
Yeah,
transcripts.
Yeah, worth a read.
And wishing all a very happy Independence Day.
Yes, happy Independence Day.
And we'll see you on Monday.
Yeah. Long weekend.
Long weekend. Markets are not doing anything. Hopefully, nothing happens in Alaska. So.
अभी है 1.5 घंटा क्या कुछ भी हो सकता है 2.5 घंटा हो. It's only 1 o'clock.
Chaliye. Thank you very much. Bye.
See you guys.